welcome to another episode of Music Prose. P-R-O-S-E. Where we ramble on, which we've already been doing before we even started rolling.
Yep.
We share stories from beyond the stage.
Ooh, sounds fun.
Right? Join us as we explore the highs and lows of musician life and creative minds. Whether you're an aspiring artist or a seasoned pro, you're going to find inspiration, humor, definitely, and a sense of community here. I am your host, Crystal Cluley, coming to you from the beautiful Blueberry Suite here at Studio 770 in sunny Brea, California. Although it's actually not very sunny today, interestingly enough, which is okay because we had that heat wave last week. So
Yep.
yeah. So I am here with today's guest. Woohoo! Vince Portillo!
Woo!
And the crowd goes, "Mom."
Yes.
Vince, keys, bass, vocals. What else
Yep.
do you do?
Play some guitar too, some mandolin.
Mandolin?
Play some,
I've never. What?
yeah, I play some drums too. Probably in that order on best to worst, but
Yeah.
a little bit of, just multi-instrumentalist. I really kill it on the cowbell too.
Nice.
Yeah, so, whenever you need more of it, let me know.
We always need more cowbell.
Yeah, indeed.
Here we go. Joking already. I love
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Well, you are another one. It feels like this show has sort of turned into my musical friends because so far I don't think I've had anybody who I have never worked with before.
yeah.
So it's kind of coming that way, but that's all right. It's a good thing because I have worked with some pretty awesome people,
Yeah.
including you.
Thank you.
I was trying to think of how and when we met. Was it the DeLoreans?
No, it was before that.
No, you're right.
It was the Gypsy Dolls.
It was the Gypsy Dolls.
And
When?
I was referred to you by Georgia Loretto from
Undercover.
Yes. And we needed a sub for Tober, and you were there for that call.
Yeah.
So, and that's
That was.
early-
We're trying to think how many years ago that was.
early 2000s.
Yeah.
Probably 2005 or 4. I don't know. When did you move out here?
I moved here in 04.
So it had to be
like 5.
soon
maybe.
thereafter,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah I think actually you were the first band
Mm-hmm.
that I played with here. Maybe not my first gig here in California, but the first real band that I played with.
Right.
So, and I think she was out for a couple of weeks because of a surgery or something like that.
Yeah, I
at
think
that
you're
time.
right.
So I got to do several gigs with you guys.
Indeed. I remember getting your song list and going, holy moly. She knows like 10,000 songs more than us.
I wouldn't go that far,
but I
yeah.
was like, well, it was extensive, and I was really impressed with your list and how many guy songs you were willing to sing as well.
I do a lot of the guy songs.
Yep.
It's funny. I stopped thinking about them as guy and gal songs for the most part, but then I host live band karaoke sometimes, as you know.
Yeah.
And I always get amused when a guy chooses a girl song to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I don't think of it that way when I'm singing a guy song. It doesn't seem as weird.
Right. You've
And I
been
think
doing it so long, probably.
Well, yeah, that, and I think a lot of the 80s, especially guy songs, are so high that they're kind of tough for
most guys,
most male singers.
I would agree with that. Yep.
So I've just always done them because I'm the one who can hit the notes.
Indeed. Indeed.
Like Steve Perry's right in my sweet spot.
Yeah. That's nice.
What's your sweet spot?
My sweet spot. Well, I mean, I get told I have a real gritty voice, so I don't know. I really like Bill Withers and
Oh yeah.
and some of the disco stuff I can get down with.
Get down tonight?
Yeah. Or get down on it.
Yes.
That's another one.
I know. I've done that one with you. I love it. I love it.
Indeed.
So you went to the Gypsy Dolls. That's your main band? Is that the main thing
Main band.
these days?
Right now, that's the one I run and operate. I also play with a band called Straight 78. I
Right.
think you guys had Rob Gallus. He's the lead singer from that band as well.
Yep.
So
yes, and we had Tober from the Gypsy Dolls as well.
Indeed,
so.
yeah. So Straight 78 is kind of like an all funk disco dance band, and then I also play with a band called the Long Beach Leftovers. which there were once in a while, a couple gigs a year, and fun guys, old friends that just get together, and some of them had notoriety at once. I can't say that word today. I'm still waking up, so that's a fun band as well. And then sometimes I sit in with this band called Liquid Crystal, which I almost said Crystal. But
that's okay. Gee, I wonder where we've heard of that one.
Yeah. And, I sub from here to there, in some other bands. But, I do so many other side things that I keep myself pretty busy,
Right. So, well, let's go all the way back to the beginning, Vince.
Oh, goodness.
Let's go back to the very beginning. Okay, not the very beginning. Not the day you were born, but unless you came out singing.
No, but I wasn't too far away from that, actually. No. So
yeah, I was going to ask, what was your first musical experience?
Well, I came from a musical family. I come from a musical family. My mother played piano and cello. My father played upright bass and piano as well. And at the young age of 5, I started to play the piano. My mom started to teach me stuff on the piano. So I really was kind of more home taught for the first 5 years of my life, for the first 5 years of my musical life. So around 10, I got some professional lessons and stuck with that until my like 15, 16, teenage years. And then I thought, oh, this isn't as cool as I thought. Piano's not that cool. You can't play piano at the campfire, with your friends. So
that is true, actually.
So
yes,
I started to get into guitar and bass, and in my later teens, I was in a punk band.
More portable instruments.
Yeah. I started playing bass in a punk band. Funny story, actually. So my friend, I was at school, and a friend of mine picked me up. He's 10 years older than me. He's one of my brother's friends as well. And he picks me up from school, and he's like, "You're in a punk band today." I go, "Oh, really? Like, oh, that's cool." And he's like, "Yeah, you're going to play bass." I go, "Well, I don't play bass." And he goes, "Well, just do whatever you do on the piano, like just do it on the bass. Like, you figure it out. Like you're talented. You can figure it out." So we get to the studio, and he goes, "All right, the first song goes do 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 do," and I just did it on the bass, and I had to look back,
just like that,
just like that, yeah.
That's amazing.
And then it got a lot more challenging. I still really don't look at myself as a bassist because I come back from the background of piano, like that's my bass line.
Right.
But then playing cover music, and as you get into more complicated songs, it was more challenging for me, and I just really evolved into more of a bassist, I think, throughout the years, and so it's wonderful.
Do you still prefer to play keys rather than bass if you had your druthers?
I really like the mobility of bass on stage. Yeah. That's fun because I feel like keys, I'm kind of just you're stuck in one where place. I'm at.
Right.
But I just have, I guess, a little more. Because I have more comfort with the keys, with my skill set, I feel like I get a little more freedom with solos and just my overall performance.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I just love them both, and that's why I do both.
There you go. Yeah, we do what we love. We don't do this because it's an easy life. We do it for the love, right? For sure.
Definitely.
So your piano education, you said you were home taught for the first few years.
Yeah.
And then when you had, structural, I should say, maybe, lessons.
Yeah.
How was that? Did you learn, just reading chord charts? Did you chord progressions? Did you actually read music? Do you know theory?
Well,
a little bit of everything. How did that go?
My teacher he was an older gentleman, and Bill Matthews was his name, and he actually taught one of the Carpenters. And,
no way.
Yeah, and he, I think he was at the end of his career, of teaching, because he noticed I had, quickly that I had a good ear, and so I would play mostly by sound rather than reading notation. Although I'd read notation and I did that slowly, but it was more like to memorize. But it was, for me, fast tracking was just doing it by ear. So he would play the song, and then I'd play. Then I would pick up on it, and then of course I did my own practicing. But I think I could have used a little more structure in that time, you know. And really, it wasn't until I was in my early 20s, I went to Cypress College, and I took every music class that they had there because that's all I was interested in. You know, who wants to do, you know, math and English and history? I
like English sometimes, but
I mean,
I like
just
wordplay.
Loved music so much, I just focused on that. And I took a popular music class, and my teacher, her name was Betty Vergo. She opened my mind to popular music and like, you know, like chords and, well, just like really just popular music and chords and not being so bound to the music. And it really opened my mind on music in a different level. At that time, and I was trained with her for a few years. Even got my family involved. My dad started taking the classes there, and my ex-wife and my aunt, and so we all got involved.
Whole family affair. I love that.
And she was she was an elderly woman, and she played in Vegas. Like, she was a lounge player. She used to just play in smoky bars, smoky lounges in Vegas, and you know, and just kill it. She was a killer player, and it was a really nice experience to learn from her.
That's
and
so cool.
So since then, I always, you know, I find like I have a lot of inspirational players out there that really help me, you know, get myself to the next level. Because
let's talk about that. Who are some of the artists that have inspired you?
Renato Neto. He's a Brazilian player. He's a monster player. He played with Prince and when his last band, and I got to see him like in Studio City a handful of times, and just the first time I saw him, I just wanted to cut my hands off and kick him around on the ground. He was so awesome, but you know,
I know that feeling.
Yeah, but he also inspired me. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much more I can do. And whenever my ego, I put my ego in check, because it's like, you know, whatever I think I'm awesome, I just go back. You know, you just go to YouTube and see a 5-year-old that'll just, you know, kill you. You know, that's so true, right? So it's humbling, but you know, and I know,
but also inspiring.
Indeed. Right. And I take it that way. It's inspirational. It's humbling. It's time for. I know there's always room to improve, and you know, when we're performing out there, it's, you know, we're the ones that got the gig. We're there doing our thing. So I just, you know, I do the best I can so I can entertain, like, and maybe inspire like I've been inspired. You know?
Aww.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that about you. You know, it's a testament to you and your personality and your skills as not just a musician, but also as a band leader, you know, that we've been working together as long as we have, because that's a skill in and of itself, right?
Yes.
Managing a band, managing musicians, herding musicians is like wrangling cats, right?
Oh,
it's just, it's insane.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's all the crazy personality things you have to deal with. Musicians are nuts, most of us, right? We have our quirks. So you have managed to keep one band together for what, 20-something years? I think
22 years. Yeah,
that's pretty inspiring in itself. In and of itself, I can talk. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think,
because that's a hard thing to do as well.
You're right, and I think that it's been a really cool experience with Tober, because her and I are part of the founding members of the Gypsy Dolls.
She mentioned that when she was
and she is so humble for being such a powerhouse, you know, and I just think that, you know, we've evolved together, but we've also been in alignment, like, hey, let's just have fun with this. Because there was a time where we were trying to just push to only do weddings and all the corporate events and trying to stay, you know, competitive with all the other big bands that are out there. And you know, it just wasn't fun. You know, I was kind of over learning, you know, Call Me Maybe and only playing it once. You know what I mean? Like things like that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so, like, when we got that out of the way, I say, let's do what we want to do. I mean, but there's, you know, there's a slice of that where you got to do songs that people recognize and that will dance to, or that are entertaining.
That's a big side of the whole cover scene.
You're right.
You want to do obscure things that you like, but you have to do what the audience is wanting to hear. Right?
You're right. And that's why when we do Stripped, it's like the pressure's off a little more with Stripped. So the Stripped is really the Gypsy Dolls without drums, but we have like an acoustic instrument. So the
Right.
guitarist is on an acoustic guitar, I'm on an acoustic bass and a piano, but it's usually just my keyboard, but piano sounds and stuff. But then we have a little more freedom because we're not the pressure to make people dance and all that isn't as prevalent there. So it's nice to
Right.
have a little freedom where we can do some obscure B-side songs that we like, and so it's fun for the musicians as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think I've only done maybe one stripped gig with you.
I think you have. I
Just
remember
the
it
one.
not too long ago either.
Keynotes.
That's right, Keynotes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
I've always enjoyed those kind of gigs. I was in an 80s band for quite some time. I want to say like 10 years maybe, called After Party. And the band leader for that group also, stupid talented, crazy to me, because I can't do that. And you do it too. And it always amazes me. I can play piano and sing to a point, as long as the rhythms of each instrument are not too different,
Yeah.
right, or complex,
Right.
but he plays bass, sings, runs track, the whole thing all at the same time,
Yeah,
and you do
yeah.
some of that as well, and that always kind of blows my mind. But what's fun for me is he also plays guitar, and so we would just take off and do like you stripped, right?
Yeah.
We didn't call it stripped, but
Same
that
concept,
would have
though.
been a knockoff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we called it After Party Unplugged,
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I get
where
it.
it would just be the two of us, me, him, our
Yeah.
voices, and his guitar. And I loved those gigs because, like you said, it's a whole different kind of freedom to do things differently. Even maybe
Yeah.
some of the same songs, but do them in a different way.
Right.
Just have
Yeah.
some fun with them.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me then about Straight 78. How'd you get involved with that one?
So Straight 78. So I also work a full-time job. I have a career as well in
You have
supply
a jobby
chain.
job?
I have a jobby
As
job,
Tover called it,
would say.
yes.
Yeah. I work in supply chain, and at the time I was working for Oakley Sunglasses.
I remember that.
Yeah, I worked
Yeah.
there for 13 years, and I met Rob Gallus there. He was
That's
a
right,
buyer there. We
Rob.
worked in the same
Okay.
department, and I remember when he was starting up Straight 78, he'd always, he'd hit me up for some questions, some advice. Hey, I want to get a website started, or hey, do you know the contact at Hennessy's or whatever to try to get gigs, and I would help him out. And then at the time they already had a keyboard player, but I subbed with them a few times, and then eventually they had an opening, and I was there to fill it, and it was.
That's right.
I did, and it was, it's fun being the organist, the electric pianist, the piano player, the horn part, and then getting to sing some songs with them. And they're there's a lot of energy in that band. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I've subbed with them too.
Yes, you have. We're all over the same place. I love it.
Well, like I said, that's the nice thing about building relationships in the business.
Yeah.
And
I
not
agree.
everybody is easy to continue a relationship with.
Yeah.
There have been bands that I have left for various reasons. And
Yes.
it's usually not about the music.
Right.
you
Understand.
know?
Yeah, understand.
So it's great that we still are comfortable and friendly and work well together.
Yeah, I enjoy
And that's
that.
why I hire you for, my gigs. Like you said, with Liquid Crystal, I don't do a lot because I don't really push it. But
Yeah.
but if I get a referral or a friend of a friend where somebody wants me to come do an event, and I'll
Right.
get the band back together, as they say.
Definitely.
And you're always my go-to, partly because you're so easy to work with, but also because of, like you said, your musicality, being able to switch from keys to bass. You do bass on the keyboards, which is a big
Gotcha.
thing too. Not a lot of keyboard players can actually do that
Yeah.
left-hand bass, but then you can also switch to an actual bass.
It's fun. Yes.
And you sing.
Yeah, I've been, my vocal talents have evolved over the years. I'm certainly not a powerhouse like yourself and Tober, but I definitely can give you all a rest when you need one. And I feel much more comfortable with that. I've taken some vocal lessons as
Have you?
well. It's helped me out. I took about 6 months of vocal lessons, and it helped me out a lot. Helped me grow the confidence, which it's I believe most of us can sing with the right direction.
Yeah,
But
I do too. I have to say that I'm a voice teacher.
yeah, good plug.
I have to say that everybody can sing. Most
Yeah.
people can sing.
But evolving the left-hand bass has been a big thing for the Gypsy Dolls as well. So I don't.
Right.
We didn't have to have a fifth person. And,
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, that's been fun.
Sit tight.
there's other musicians I've met out there that do the left hand bass, and I'm just like, wow, like it was really, the way they did it was amazing, and I'm like, so I know it's doable, so so I work on it.
There are a few out there.
Yeah,
but it's not an easy thing, like I said, to kind of split your brain that way,
Yeah, definitely.
And our brains are already compromised because we're crazy musicians.
No kidding. No kidding.
So, you said you were self-taught. That means your family was musical.
Yeah.
That means your family was supportive of this being a career goal for you?
There was always instruments in the house. There was always a piano. There was an organ in the house. My parents were both very supportive. My mother was more classically trained, so I learned, more classical from her. My father was, he played in the church band. My grandfather was a minister, so he played in church and then in high school.
Explains a lot.
Yeah, right. And so, but at home, my dad would have jams, and he'd have friends over, and they would be playing Santana and Zeppelin and things like that, and I'd be sitting on the stairs watching them. And then eventually I got to join in. I remember putting on a bass for the first time and learning some notes on the bass for Santana, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a cool instrument. This is different," And so I grew up with a lot of that.
Oh, that's so fun.
I have 4 older siblings. They're not as musical,
really?
But
Big family, huh?
Yeah, but they were like. They had to endure the attention I got from my parents, because I was a musician, and they would tackle me down sometimes when I would be playing Bumble Boogie for the 100th time, trying to master it. Stop playing that stuff. But they were very supportive, and
that's great.
I asked my father too later in life. I was like, Dad, did you ever have to force me into practice? I don't remember any of that, because I'm going through some of that with my kids now. I have twin boys they're 17, and they're taking 17.
Oh my gosh.
And they're taking guitar and piano from Mr. Dave Maciel, who
great.
He's awesome.
We got to get Dave on the show one of these days.
He should. He's an amazing talent. But
he is.
My kids, they kind of treat, the practice as homework. And so I asked my dad about that, and he was like, I never had to ask you to practice. You would always do 2 hours on your own and not even know it,
Right.
And that's just how it is. And sometimes you just have the drive, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And but my kids are very talented, and they're picking it up nicely. So I'm happy. But I never put that pressure like, hey, you need to be at my level, or
Right.
I never put that on them, and it's on their terms if they want to do it or not.
Well, I think that's important. From the other side, as a music teacher, it is very frustrating for me when a student really doesn't want to be there or doesn't want to practice, and it's the parents that are forcing them to do it. It's much more exciting for me when I have a student who really wants it, and I can see that they have potential and they've got that drive and they want to do something with it.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes a big difference. I mean,
it
there's been
does.
Many gigs where I've come off the gig and somebody would approach me and say, I used to take piano lessons when I was little, and I quit because I didn't want to do it, and I wish I still did it because I could be playing like you today. And I go, it's never too late.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm still looking to learn things,
Right.
I have to learn stuff on YouTube, and, Dr. YouTube shows me a lot nowadays, And so, I think it's never too late to pick it up. It's just a matter of allocating time to it. We all have time to scroll our phones, 10 hours a week or whatever that is.
Right.
But, so all we have to do is allocate the time towards the things we want to learn,
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big issue, finding the time. And like you said, we all have time to sit around and doom scroll, as they call it, right? Or social media.
Doom scroll. That's what my kids call it. That's right.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I was the same way. I wanted to play. I would go. My mom used to. I talked about these in another episode too. But my mom used to get Sheet Music magazine. Did you ever hear of that?
Yes. Yeah. We used to get that at home.
You
and
got
they'd
that too?
They have like a song of the month or whatever. Yeah. Or of the week, whatever. Yeah.
Right. So I would get these Sheet Music and I would be the one running to the mailbox. Like, what are we going to do this week?
Oh, that's awesome.
Or month or whatever. It was,
yeah.
I don't know if they were weekly. I think they were monthly. And then it was like every 3 months. And then sadly they faded away.
Yeah.
I still have a pretty good stack of some of those old ones, though. I stole my mom's old sheet music.
Nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, I wanted to. I wanted to play. I wanted to learn it. I wanted to find new songs that I might like to either play or sing, or, you know. I don't remember when I started feeling like singing was the thing.
Yeah.
Because I started with violin at 4, and then we always had a piano in the house because my mom played. So I would tinker at that. And then, it was funny when you said about watching somebody and you felt like cutting your hands off. I picked up sax for a while too. And then I went and saw this guy playing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm never picking mine up again. Oh my God. I'll just stick to this because I'm better at that. But
yeah.
But it's important to be not just humbled, but also inspired.
Yeah.
So, like you said, and it's nice now that we get to do this professionally, that we can inspire new people.
Yes.
Another generation even, or...
I agree. Yeah.
So you were talking about practicing. Mm-hmm. How do you practice and prepare for gigs? I know you were actually just kind of grumbly with me the other day about some songs. I know it's a long list.
The 50 songs I don't know?
Okay, well, it's not 50. But
okay, 35. No.
But yeah, how do you prepare for upcoming gigs, and if you have to learn new songs and things like that?
I allocate time to it. Really, most of it's by ear. You know, I listen to it.
I was going to ask, what's your process? Do you actually read notes, or?
No, I mean, unless the song's pretty complicated. You know, if it's pretty straightforward, I listen. I chart out the chords and any of the solo parts. If it gets complicated, that's when I go to Dr. YouTube and find out the actual parts. I'll watch somebody's hands, or they spell it out for you. But most of it's just me listening to it and doing it over and over again, and allocating time towards it. You know,
Dr. YouTube, I find that so funny. But, I've had piano students who come into me, and because of YouTube, and we didn't have that when we were practicing and coming up, right? But I'll have students come to me, and they can play something fairly complicated, but they have no idea what notes they're playing. Right? They're hitting the keys.
It's a pattern.
And I'm like, okay, so do you know what chord that is?
No. Yeah.
Right? Do you know that that's a C sharp?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
That to me is frustrating, again, from the teacher side, but it's also kind of impressive that they're just, sponging. It's like they're sponging that in and regurgitating it in a way, I guess. But
it's also challenging, though, like learning tunes as a keyboardist, because you might need to do a horn part or an organ part or the piano part, or a little bit of all. So beyond learning the song, I also have to figure out the patches and the sounds and all that. Yes. So it can be complicated. And that's why, when I get 35 songs that I don't know, I'm like, what are you talking about? So that's why you get pushback from me sometimes.
No. I totally deserve it.
Yeah. We'll figure it out, though, I'm sure.
We always do.
Yeah.
We always do.
Indeed.
That's interesting, too. That's another reason that I never became a keyboard player. I get asked that a lot. Well, you sing in bands. Why don't you play keys, too?
Yeah.
Because I play piano. I know nothing about the patches and this. I mean, my Casio Privia has buttons, and I can make it sound like a harpsichord or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I have no idea how to dial in the patches. I don't know how to do the whole MIDI thing, all of that. So I leave that alone.
Yeah.
If there's a keyboard on the stage already, somebody dials it in. I think I've done this with you once or twice, where I've kind of just tinkered with maybe the beginning of "Don't Stop Believing." Right?
That's fine. Yeah.
And that's fun to do, but I don't feel that I would be confident.
I mean, you have to know. I mean, as a keyboardist, you have to know your gear too, and I'm still. I mean,
that's
with
a huge
the Nords
thing.
I play, it's like trying to drive the space shuttle. There's so many knobs on that thing. But it's there's a lot of help online, and I've met some teachers online too that are really cool. This guy named Matthew Cossey, he's in England, and I met him at NAMM a few times. I've known him for years now, like 10 years, and he breaks it down for me. I've had such breakdowns on how to do my keyboard and what patches to do for particular songs. This is what you do for Superstition, or this is the patches you do for Rock With You by Michael Jackson, things like that, and how to use my gear. And it just opened my mind to different avenues on my keys. So it's fun to have that.
Yeah, it probably would be.
Well, you can leave it to me. That's fine.
Yes, I'm going to leave that to you. I feel a little lazy in that department. But, I mean, vocally, I'm not lazy. And I like that you said that there's always something to learn.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree with that. I met my most recent vocal coach. I'm not taking any lessons now. But I still go back to him or some of the things. He's got a whole YouTube channel and all of that. So if I'm struggling with anything, there's where I'll go back to.
Yeah,
he
that's
was the
nice.
one that made the biggest difference for me. But I find when I'm practicing, if I want to learn harmony parts and things, I enjoy knowing the theory. So for me, knowing an instrument and knowing piano and being able to pick out the chords, that helps me with my vocals.
That's great.
So it's
That's
kind of a secondary thing to me, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't the thing I wanted to do, but I can, okay, you want me to sing a third? I can do that. Or if I'm going to go a fourth here, right?
Yeah.
So
that's great.
And that's one of the things I love about playing with you too, because everybody in the band is we're pretty darn good musicians.
Okay, I'll take it.
Come on. Yeah, and we find those harmonies and do that. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think every instrument is trying to emulate the human voice, and because the human voice is beautiful. And so when you have 3 or 4 people that could sing in a band and harmonize together, that's like having another 3 or 4 instruments. To me, it's wonderful. So it's always welcomed, I think.
Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons that I hire musicians who can sing is that right there.
Yeah.
I mean, not having to have another singer is nice. Not having to hire another person, like you said, not having to hire another bass player, right?
Yeah.
So
totally.
Not having to hire an extra body to pay.
And when you're used to having that and you don't have it, then you feel it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Like I mentioned after party earlier, I think our guitar player sang to a degree. Our first drummer, when I first joined the band, also sang. So there would be 4 voices. And then that drummer had moved on. And then we changed guitar players, and the next guitar player didn't sing quite as much. But still, there were always at least 2, if not 3, voices in those harmonies and everything.
Yeah.
And I went from that to then doing some like jazz gigs and restaurant gigs where it's very stripped down. And it's just me and a pianist, and that pianist doesn't sing. And it's heavy. You know what I mean? It feels
definitely.
like, not that I can't do it, but it feels like more of a responsibility at that point because I am the only singer.
I get it.
All on me.
I get it. Trust
But
me.
it's also fun. It's interesting in another way because when you're singing or playing with other people, right, you kind of are not tied to, but you have to kind of stick with that structure.
Right.
If you're singing a harmony with somebody, you don't want to be you don't want the timing to be off. You want to be matching their rhythm, their timing, their phrasing.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
And then when you're doing it by yourself, you don't have to.
That's
you
true.
can do whatever you want with it.
Well,
Well,
I guess that's the advantage of when you work with people for so long, they already know where you're going,
yes.
and all that. And I think that we, our history, like I've learned more of that about you. Like I know that, and because you're so different than Tober in many ways, but it's good. It's just a different variety, Yeah. And I like, okay, you play, you're like behind the note sometimes, but you're the singer. You can do the fun stuff like that, So it's good, to learn that about someone, and then and so like when
but
you
I
said,
also try to adjust myself to what you guys are used to. I try. I don't always succeed.
Yeah, no, we're adjusting to you. It's all good, but it's fun, and I love it. It's all good.
I do too. We always have a great time.
Yeah, indeed, I agree.
So we've been talking a lot about the cover stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like Tober mentioned that there was an original or two that you guys wrote.
We worked on some original stuff together.
Did you do that?
And,
did you
and
ever put an album out or anything? Or?
We didn't do that.
No.
We recorded. I had some recording equipment at home, and we did stuff like that at home, and did some mix. Actually, Eric Vaughn, our drummer now, was the drummer back then on our recording. Like he just sat in to do it for us, and that was before we were in a band with him. And it was fun, and I missed that. And I think that I aspire aspire to put more time into creative music, original stuff. And we've done a little bit of that with Dave We've done a little bit of creativity stuff with Dave. Nice. We started doing songs with our cell phone numbers. Like the chord progression was the last 4 of our cell phone numbers, things like that. And that's fun. You know what I mean? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah,
indeed.
Why not? Just doing things like that, it. And we just need to allocate more time to it. I spread myself really. I spread myself really thin, and I feel like constantly working on cover music sometimes takes away from your creative side.
Yeah. Yeah,
it can be a little challenging, but then again, I sure can find time to doom scroll. So I'm the only one to blame on allocating my time. Right. I just got to do it. I just got to do it, and I really want to because it feels good to do your own thing, and it would be great to incorporate that and have people dancing to our tune. That would be fun.
Sure.
So I hope to do that more, and I know Tober really is into that matter of just putting some time in the calendar.
Yeah, that's always the struggle, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember back many, many years ago, I think even before the Gypsy Dolls, I wanted to do like a compilation album where I did songs with you. I did songs with Dave. I did songs with Tober. Like, kind of like Santana did that one album, with
Michelle Branch.
Yeah, Michelle Branch
and Rob,
and
what's his name?
Rob Thomas. Yeah, all that stuff, right? Like that. Something like that where, because I have so many musical friends and so many different talents, it would be awesome. And I still want to do that sometime. I think that's maybe the long-term goal.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
And then have like, hey, we put out an album and let's have a release party and it's just, all for fun.
Everybody jam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your 50th birthday party was like that.
Kind of, yes.
It was very much like that. There were people literally spilling out the doors of that place because you had so many. Well, you have a big family too, but you had so many musician friends come in and everybody played and sang and we all enjoyed that.
That was a huge blessing. I really felt like I just felt the love. I mean, it was really nice to have 3 bands play and a DJ and variety of people within those bands sit up and play. That was a good time, and I'm glad that I didn't get too drunk where I didn't forget. Where I forgot it.
That's good.
And we did end up back at my house that night, and we did karaoke till about 5 in the morning.
Oh wow!
So, with a lot of the band people came back to my house too, and we just jammed there too. It was a lot of fun. It was a good party, and I really felt the love.
It was, yeah. Well, like I said, that's a testament to you and your personality that you draw people in and you're able to keep them there, right?
I'm glad.
You've got a following.
I just try to be me.
An entourage.
I guess so. I guess that's what it is. I just try to be me, and I think that I've been kind of on a journey of letting my ego go, Can you say ego go? Yeah, I guess that's it. And it's been a good one. So, I'm just, just trying to be present.
You brought up DJ.
Yep.
So I'm going to go there.
Okay, sure. Let's go there.
So you DJ also.
I do. I've been DJing for about 20 years now.
20 years now.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of rectify all of that in your mind? How different is it? Because, for me, I have a little bit of about DJs because I feel like they do sometimes take gigs away from us live bands, right? You want what, $2,000 for a band? I could pay $1,000 for a DJ. Yeah, that's frustrating at times. But you do both.
Yeah. So what happened? I was with the Gypsy Dolls, and then we were getting calls like, "Hey, we want to do a wedding, but we want a live band and a DJ." And I'm like, "Okay," and they go, "We want all the rock stuff, the band to do all the rock stuff and funk and disco, but we want a DJ for like hip hop and stuff like that." And they wanted a good balance of that. So I started like hiring DJs to work with us, and then I was like, I can do that. Why do we have to split up the paycheck some more, right? And so I was like, I could do that. It's just pressing buttons, But so I thought. I was very naive for that. Yeah. But then
it isn't always. That's true.
And so of course I had to get into more emceeing as well, which I guess I'd never really considered myself a front person, even though I'm up front. But emceeing is definitely up front. You got to do all the introductions and pronounce everyone's names correctly and all kinds of things like that. So I just got into it by offering a band DJ combo, and then I started getting calls for just a DJ, and it was very the money was very appealing.
Sure.
And so I just kind of went into it, and then I started to really study up on what am I doing here? How can I make it better? And now, I mean, mostly only do weddings, and I'm a preferred vendor at two venues in Temecula, two wineries, and I get. It's really important to me to make their day a special one, like it's and do it right, and I rehearse for it. Okay, if that makes sense, I rehearse the introductions. I rehearse the timeline, all this kind of stuff, and it just and it's helped me with, with my musicianship as well to be more coordinated, and
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I look at it that way.
So you feel the two actually tie together then?
In that way, yes, and being prepared. You know what I mean? Because you have to be prepared. And
that you do.
When I attend a wedding, I'm uber critical, like we all are of other bands and stuff, right? Right. But I'm critical of the DJ. Like, oh, you didn't, you got to keep the guests informed. You got to, make sure you pronounce the name right. Things like that. And so I just
also read the crowd. And play what they actually want to hear and or dance
that's
to.
That's exactly it too. And that is, I directly came from being in a band.
Right.
Because sometimes, you got to jump to that song to get people to continue dancing rather than to go to a slow song. Same thing, same concept. So it's been, I tie it in that way. I mean, I still have conflict with that because I wish my band. I'm partial to the band, but. It's it's monetarily it doesn't even compare, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. Right. Like I said, that's my issue with them. Although it's funny too. I used to do some gigs with a guy who does play both guitar and keyboards, but he liked using tracks. He would use kind of karaoke tracks for everything and kind of noodle along with them. Yeah. And I would sing and. Someone once accused me of being no better than a DJ because I was singing to tracks. Well, and I'm like, well, I'm at least actually singing, but...
Isn't it funny how someone's a comment like that will just crumble you?
Yeah, no,
it's but it's like it's one person's opinion. It shouldn't even matter,
really,
right? It shouldn't even matter, because we're doing our thing. You're still singing, and not everyone.
I am singing still, right? It's not a pre-recorded version of me singing. I'm still doing this live,
right?
Yeah, but that's tough. And then there's the whole karaoke thing, which that's what that was to me. It was like doing karaoke. Not like a DJ, but it was kind of karaoke-ish.
Right. Because you're still singing when you do karaoke as well. And of course, I'm doing that as well.
Yes, that was the segue.
That's a good segue. I think it's been just over a year now. Just over a year, I started doing karaoke on a weekly, professional basis. I would do it here and there for private parties, but nothing serious. And that I've... how I tie it in, it's always tying back home to my musicianship. And what I do there is I work on songs I need to work on vocally there. And I also push myself to do songs I've never done to hone in my skills vocally.
So you use it as sort of a practice tool.
Yes. Might as well.
Love that.
Might as well. I mean,
Very smart.
How many times have we said, "Oh, we did this gig was like a paid practice," right? Well, I'm doing karaoke that way. I'm having fun with it. I'm working on my MC skills, my crowd, interaction with the crowd,
right?
And then I push myself vocally, doing a bunch of door stuff that I never sang before in the band, And can I bring that to the band, or what can I bring to the band? I look at it that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that does sound like you're very, very busy.
Yes.
You're spread a little thin.
Yeah.
You also have, like you mentioned, the kids. You've got 2 boys, and you've got a girlfriend, and you've got your father.
He's elderly and, going to move in with us, and that's a whole nother unknown situation that's going to happen. Yeah.
So how do you take care of yourself mentally, emotionally with all of this stuff going on?
That's a good question. So I was talking to you mentioned my girlfriend, Michelle. She's also a vocalist, and, we're going to work on music together. I need to allocate time. I will, Michelle, I promise. But I was just talking to Michelle about that. Sometimes I just need to disconnect totally. And that means, just leave my phone off. I go camping. I take my kids camping. We turn our cell phones off and just kind of unplug from the grid. Do that. And then opposite of that, sometimes I find, watching trash TV is a treat for me.
Right.
Watching some reality crap that I like. And it just kind of shuts my brain off. I don't know.
Sure.
I can't explain it. It's just I don't have to think about anything.
You don't have to explain
and
it.
It's
Yeah,
a
I
treat
get
just
you.
to chill in my bed and relax, and also just playing at home. In the morning, sometimes Michelle might be cooking breakfast, or she is usually cooking breakfast, and I'll just play some piano, whatever I feel like playing, and just
Play for
just
yourself.
for myself. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole different animal than playing for the audience.
That's right. But I think I need to do more self-care. You know what I mean? I'm trying to work on my weight. I'm trying to, be more present for my children. I jammed for the first time with my son, Brandon, last week. We were playing, he's into metal. He's doing songs from like Bullet for My Valentine.
Okay.
And
fun.
so he's like, can you learn the bass on it? Yeah. And so I was jamming with him. I need to do more of that with my kids, and I got to find the right balance for that. So, and Michelle helps point it out. Sometimes, I know you're busy like me, like you're just chasing after the work. Let's go make money. Let's have fun while we're doing it. But Michelle keeps me grounded. She's like, you should really relax. You should have some tea and sit down and relax. So she's really good at pointing that out for me, and I need to do a better job for myself as well. That's nice. I'm very aware of that. I need to do a better job of it.
Well, it's good that you have a support system that helps you with that.
Yes, that's huge, and she helps with my children too. So, and then I co-parent with my ex as well. My ex Heather as well. So we're doing the best we can as the village we are, and
it takes a village.
It
That's
certainly
right.
does.
Yeah. No, I do the same thing. Like you said, it's always a hustle. We're always pushing, chasing. And I mean, I will wake up in the morning to, well, maybe not morning.
Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah, afternoon.
Depends on the day
like what?
and how late the gig was the night before. But I will start my day with literally sometimes 10, 15 text messages, whatever's. And whether they're from students or about gigs or, so before I'm even having a cup of coffee, I'm almost overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right. And we were talking about this before we started recording too. I have to make lists now. I have to put tasks in my phone and reminders, because I'll get into one conversation and then forget that this other text hasn't been answered or...
It happens to the best of us. Yes. I mean,
and then sometimes, same as you, I just have to put the phone down, turn it off. And I get some flack for that sometimes from people. Well, you didn't answer your phone. I can't. Yeah. I literally can't.
I get it.
I have to. It has to be over there while I'm over here. It's like you need to shut off. I don't care for reality TV personally, but I have my favorite little comedies that I watch, silly things that I'll watch that make me laugh and like you said, disconnect a little bit. So yeah. So I rarely play for myself anymore, which I find sad.
You should.
I should
give it a shot.
Every now and then I still do, but just because I do it so much, and I'm even with the piano, I'm singing most of the time on my gigs. I do the occasional solo gig where I play and sing, but I don't prefer that. I would rather have an accompanist. I feel like when I'm doing both, one or the other suffers a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you're a show person. I mean, I feel like you're a very powerful front person.
Thank
and
you.
I can imagine that takes away from, you playing an instrument kind of shuts that down a little more,
being
right? Yeah.
stuck in the seat behind the, it's harder for me. So, yeah. But I play piano a lot with my students. Because I'm always accompanying the vocalist or I'm teaching piano and I'm doing all these things. So when I go home, I don't want to play piano anymore. And like I said, I find that sad. That I used to love to get home and start playing, just even if it's Beethoven or whatever, something that I don't get to play otherwise, and that's fun for me. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you have that. I think that's really cool. So even as much as you do it, you still want to go home and play for yourself.
Yeah. And I think Michelle enjoys it too. I mean, it's, she's my super fan.
I was going to say she's super supportive, which is really awesome.
And I think it helps her, cook faster as well. That's why I play the Bumble Boogie.
Well, I mean, music is a motivator.
Yes.
No. If I need to, if I need to, clean or get something done around the house, I have to turn on some music to keep me going.
Absolutely.
Well, so Vince, it's been such a pleasure talking to you and learning
Yeah.
about you. And as long as I've known you, it's fun that we can still learn something new about each other.
I'm glad you learned some new things about me.
I am
Yeah,
too.
all you had to do is ask.
Hey, who knew?
Yeah.
And the audience as well. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Music Prose, where we bring you closer to the heart of a musician's journey and struggle and hustle and joy and everything else, right?
Yep.
All of the things that it is. You can like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, whether they're musicians or not. If you have anybody in mind that you think that I should have into the studio and talk with, feel free to let me know who you'd like me to bring in as a guest. Thank you to my vest, Vince Portillo, my guest, Vince Portillo.
Thank you.
And cousin Vinny. We're not real cousins, but we're brother from another mother.
Yep. My sister from another mister.
Yeah. There's another thing. I won't say it.
Yeah.
They would have to bleep me out.
Yep.
All right. For now, stay inspired, stay creative. You can find out more about me at crystalcluely.com and the studio here, studio770.com, studio770.com. And I believe, hey, Richard, the Blueberry Room has its own website now. Is that true or no? Yeah? Yeah. So, and Vince, do you have your own website? Do you have?
I do. PortilloProductions.com.
PortilloProductions.com.
PORTILLO Productions.com. And of course, the GypsyDolls.com. And of course, Straight78.com as well.
Wow. So. All of those things. And Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Right?
All of those. Yep.
And you're the same at each one. Portillo Productions?
Yeah. I mean, you
on
can.
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah. That's correct.
I follow you.
Thank you.
I'm your
Instagram
you stalker.
Uh-oh.
You know, what can I say?
Yeah.
Gotta keep you close.
Yep.
It's been a joy having you and you. Until next time, keep the music playing and the stories flowing.
Bye.